Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all else. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Every time I think of California, it is absolutely heartbreaking when you realize what California was and how fast it devolved into a Chicago South Side mafia social club. It's no longer a state.
San Francisco Mayor Gavin Newsom says he is seeking treatment for alcohol abuse. This comes just days after revealing he had an affair with the wife of one of his most trusted aides. Newsom says alcohol is not an excuse for his lapse in judgment and says his outpatient treatment will not affect his duties as mayor.
Being sober is one of the biggest damn mistakes this country's ever made. I know it's a hold your hand idealistic point of view that somehow magically, I mean, God bless some of you. If you're like me, I've been known to have a glass of wine at night watching some of the nightly news. We all need to self-medicate periodically.
He couldn't tell the truth if you put a 38 behind his ear because all he ever does is lie. He's a beneficiary of the John Paul Getty fortune. My next guest knows this all too well as he ran against him for governor. An attorney, a CPA, an investment advisor, former Republican nominee for governor in California, author of the book, The Newsom Nightmare, The California Catastrophe, and How to Reform Our Broken System. John Cox, how are you?
I'm great, Shaun. Great to be with you. And, you know, when I ran in that race, I told audiences that I moved to the only state in the union that makes Illinois look well managed.
It really does. And, you know, here's the thing that I've noticed. Once the citizens envy the scams and admire the corruption, game over. So Illinois, New York, New Jersey, a lot of the East Coast Democratic-run areas, it's over with. California is sickening. And I don't think it's totally over with because I've only had brief contact with it. But there are so many good people, captains of industry, people who enjoy freedom. Even the old hippies liked freedom. And yet they're willing to live like a Chicago Democrat. Is it hopeless now?
Well, no, you know, and one of the reasons I moved here from Chicago, remember I was president of the Cook County Republican Party, is because I wanted to play more golf and enjoy the wonderful weather in California. Newsom claims credit for all the great businesses that are populating California and all the great wealth that's created here. But let's face it, businesses and people that want to enjoy this great weather moved out to California. And his statements are like the rooster claiming credit for the sunrise. You know, it's the weather that drew people to California, despite people like Newsom, who basically have handed over the state to special interest groups, kind of like what Pritzker has done in Illinois and Hochul in New York. It's these interest groups that dominate the state capital, and politicians like Newsom are all too happy to give them whatever they want. And, of course, in each instance, what they want is something that lines their pocket but takes money out of the hands of real people, working people who are just trying to make a go of it. And it's so sad to live in California and try to make an affordable life for yourself.
Oh, well, it's amazing how wherever they practice this form of American communism, socialism, Marxism, that's where the true divide between wealth and poor really is exposed. But, you know, they've been wrong their entire life. And when I say they, I'm talking about the American communists posing as a Democrat or Marxist. What they really are is a mafia member. And it's almost as if they love the corruption. When you pan back and you look at this buffoon, He's embroiled in every scandal and corruption you can imagine. From the time he was a mayor to the time he's a governor, it's the fastest economic collapse. You know, the thing about Illinois, Cook County specifically, it's always been a lie. It's always been fraud. But there, it was actually a winner when it came to money. It was a state that had a surplus. Now you've lost billions and billions on everything from homeless to the high-speed rail, the collapse of San Francisco. I can't get over how fast it is. And have the people just become numb? Or do you think there might be an incredible opportunity to have two Republicans running against each other this time? They have an unusual system for governor. And it appears he has no vote of anybody of substance, but he does have a lot of homeless and fake votes. Are there enough homeless and fake votes to carry him to the finish line?
Well, let's put it this way. First of all, you're right. The Democrats are so split up because there's 8 Democrats running. And the Democrats are basically being hung by their own petard out here because they pushed for this top 2 nonsense, 20 years ago, and they thought it was going to cement them in power because they would get 2 Democrats in the top 2, and therefore the Democrats would have total control. It's now appearing, because there's so many Democrats splitting the vote, that 2 Republicans could get in there. I'm still doubtful that that's going to be the case. They'll get a dose of good sense and rally around one Democrat. But the idea here, though, Shaun, is that the interest groups really dominate this state. The governor almost doesn't make a difference. The legislature needs all these interest groups: the government employee unions, the trial lawyers, the environmental lobbyists that have run the state down and made it unaffordable. They're the ones that really control Sacramento. Newsom and his successor are really kind of the band leader. They get all the power, the trappings of power, but the real power is in these interest groups that control the state legislature. And that's frankly the problem in Washington, D.C. as well, as you well know.
What's fascinating is to think that these scandals will go accepted as they do in Cook County. When you see the Nick Shirley scandals, I mean, it's revealing, it'll dwarf Minnesota, the money that's stolen in the form of entitlements. But then, as I reflect back to it, they're still championing Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna is a better successful insider trader than Nancy Pelosi. 7 years, 170 million this scoundrel made in 7 years. You know that, right, from his insider trading?
Well, all of the congressmen. Congress is really an endangered institution today. I don't know if you know this, Shaun, but I think the projection is that 12 congressmen are going to be either expelled or forced to resign. They lost another one, I think, today on top of Swalwell and Gonzalez. There are going to be more, and there ought to be more. And Congress's approval rating is down to, I think, under 10%. And it's because we have the best Congress money can buy, Shaun. They get bought every single day, either through their own stock trading or through the money they're making as lobbyists once they leave Congress. We've got to put an end to this because we've got to take back this country, and we're not going to do that until we change the way Congress is elected.
No, and I really think that what might shake things up is if I'm wondering if it happens in California. In Illinois, there are 33 counties that voted for secession. I don't know if you've kept up on it. 33 counties voted and approved it. Indiana voted and approved it. I'm going to tell you something. I believe that there's an opportunity being missed, John, and that is to let the people go. This idea that we hold people into these mafia organizations, because it would apply to California as well. The vast majority of California, it's very similar to Illinois. They're not all communists, Marxists, and people who want to be robbed overnight. So I think the candidate that would talk about it, and you have the president that would do it, and shake the United States map up a little bit and let these counties go. If you've been neutered in elections and your state is fighting to protect the ability to steal elections by not turning over the voter rolls, if your state has nullified immigration law and welcomed in millions and millions of illegal aliens to use them as stalking horses for fraud, then we can't trust your elections anymore. So I think that conversation needs to go up a notch rather than this same old run to the Republicans, run to the Democrats. I really think we're missing an opportunity if we don't absolutely demand truthfulness and righteousness. Do you?
Yeah, no, I don't. And I think the American public are finally fed up with the political leadership in their country. And, it gets down to the base issue of how our political leaders are elected. They're elected with mass media, Shaun. And mass media costs a lot of money, and it doesn't communicate exactly what we need to have communicated. I'll tell you what, this country has a $40 trillion debt. It has annual deficits of $2 trillion. And most of all that is attributable to the fact that our politicians are just professional fundraisers. They're not leaders. They're not people that communicate directly with the voters. All they do is go out and sit on the phone for hours on a day, raising money, giving away the store to these interest groups. We have got to take back the country. I would urge your listeners to look at our website. It's called hearthepeople.org. It's basically about electing Congress using little tiny districts of only a few thousand voters where you don't need money to get elected. You have to actually go and talk to your constituents. Specifically, congressional districts would be subdivided into 100 little tiny districts, and the representatives in those tiny districts, the 100 that are elected, would choose the congressman to go to Washington. That would take money completely out of the system. It would disempower all these interest groups and the billionaires and the corrupt that are leading us down the road to disaster in this country. And it's got to change, because the leadership in this country is bought and paid for by these interest groups.
So what's interesting is that I've never called myself a Republican as an adult. I did when Ronald Reagan was. I was in high school. But when I saw the Republicans champion unlimited money into politics, when I saw how many of them reap the rewards that I argue rightfully so, and you argue and you run against, the Democrat mafia, that to me is when you realize you cannot have this continued fraud perpetrated on the American people. I really believe that. And I think the beauty of what we're living through, whether, and this is, I'm a fan. I really like so much of what Donald Trump has done. After I didn't, because he had commingled so much with the Clintons in his history. But I have grown to really appreciate him. And I say this on my show, whether he knows it or not, he is a third party, the first third party president. Whether he embraces it or not, that is to be determined, because I never think it's too late. But when you look at him and what he has brought together, it would be a shame to squander it, because we have an opportunity now to break the duopoly that has feasted on the money that you talked about, the $40 trillion. And the vast majority of that, John, you know this, you're a CPA, an investment advisor. It's since Barack Obama was late on his car payment. You remember Barack Obama was a bust out. He's a bust out. Never had a fracking job, married to that big, ugly broad. What the hell did he know about anything? I'm going to lower your rates by $2,500. And there are no consequences. It is time to break this grip. And it can be done because there are enough good people. And to watch what happens when you call it, you were saying about the media. When you look at the Soviet Union, how it stayed together, and you look at East Germany and West Germany and how it stayed together, the East Germans were more honest in their tyranny. And they had the Department of Agitation and Propaganda. That's what they were called, the Department of Agitation and Propaganda. That is American media. They agitate and they propagandize. When you see Nick Shirley, what he's exposed, he's a kid. He could be our kid. He's a kid. Yeah. He's a kid. He did more at 20-something years old than any of these fracking morons who are making millions of dollars as reporters. This kid in a hoodie did all the work they haven't done because they're the Department of Agitation and Propaganda. I think we are really in an exciting time. And I think California could shock the world. And I can't figure out why they keep hiring this mimbo. Is it the hair? Is it the clothes? What the frack are they doing?
It is about the media, and it's about voters who are just inundated with commercials, and they don't pay attention, Shaun. That's all there is to it. What they do is they just listen to sloganeering, and they listen to the 30-second ads, and they become immune to it. What we really need is a better way to communicate with voters, and we need to do that one-on-one. I believe most voters don't want to be supported by government. They don't want government handouts. What they want is an opportunity. They want an affordable lifestyle. But they got to know that the politicians who get all this money from special interests for their political campaigns, they're giving them something for it. Nobody gets anything for nothing in this world. The people who contribute to these politicians' campaigns are demanding policies that line their pocket and take it away from everybody else. I think the American voters are ready for this. I think the California voters are ready for a change. And that's what's got to happen in the next couple of years. We've got to have a sea change in how we elect our officials and really make our voice heard, hear the people as opposed to these interest groups and the billionaires that are supporting the politicians.
Here we are, the youngest country, the richest country, with the highest quality of life for everybody. And we are being backdoor Sovietized, backdoor communism is being implemented through policy. I am going to tell you the only way this could have happened is if the Republicans were completely inept. If I give them the benefit of the doubt, if I think about it, they were in on it. If you look at the policies, I'm telling you, John Cox, you don't know this because I'm interviewing you, but I'm dead serious. The American Principle Party, APP, I started it today. I've been thinking about it for years. I had real optimism when I saw Trump take two former presidential candidates from the opposite party and put them in charge of entire departments, the CIA and the rest of it. I was really like, this is great. He's going to run with it. I heard Elon Musk and that crew, and then he backed off of it. So we're going to go forward with it. And with your degree as a CPA, investment advisor, and former Republican nominee, thinking about making you treasurer. You want a piece of that?
I'd be interested in talking about it, Shaun. But I tell you what we need is a structural change in how we elect our leaders. You know, our founders created a government of three branches that would basically watch each other and make sure that none accumulated too much power. In this situation, Congress has just gone out to lunch. They've given all their power to these interest groups in exchange for fundraising help, which lets them get elected because they buy the media. And the media is all too happy to basically go along with the whole program. The American people need to speak. They need to take their government back. That's what hearthepeople.org is all about. And people are going to see what this is like in the next 8 months or a year. We're going to come national with this. We're going to show people what it's like to have a government that's responsive to us.
I love it. And the other thing, too, John, that's annoying for people of character, and you and I had one of the few benefits of growing up around Chicago Mafia Democrats. They bragged my whole life about stealing the 1960 election. Every one of these the South Side, they brag about nullifying the vote of the honest people. These states that refuse to turn over their voter rolls, it's an admission of guilt. It's an admission of theft. And we have to stop being afraid to say it. If you will not validate your voter rolls, any election that comes out of your state is null and void. I didn't believe Saddam Hussein got 99.9% either.
Right. Well, you know, when districts are as small as a few thousand voters, Shaun,
you can validate
candidates within those districts will make sure that every vote is valid, every vote is cast by a citizen, no non-citizen votes, and that they're counted appropriately. That's the best way to make sure that every election is honest and reflects what the people want. Small districts.
I love it, John. I really do. Give us one more time where to go and keep an eye on everything you're trying to do.
Hearthepeople.org. Hearthepeople.org. You're going to see it next year. It's going to be part of the presidential race. We got to take back Congress. We got to take back our politics. And then that's going to work as well in big states like Arizona, like Illinois and California and New York, which are run by these interest groups too.
I love it, John. Really, I hope I get to shake your hand. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for making time for me.
Thank you, Shaun.
We'll be back with your calls and comments.
What if everything you've been told about government, health care, poverty, energy, and even science is a carefully constructed lie? In Shaun Thompson's new book, What If It's All a Lie? Shaun Thompson dismantles the myths at the core of modern America. This is the book the ruling class doesn't want you to read. And once you do, you won't see the world the same way again. Order your copy today at ShaunThompsonShow.com/book.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal. But if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland